Arya wants to know where Rei is going. Daichiro suddenly remembered, he assumed that Rei left him because of the kid Chihiro. Sanko Girls Academy has a special class called needlework. They do a little bit of work before school, which is why Rei can now sew up her torn stomach. Holding Rei's shirt, Chihiro blushed in embarrassment. Rei was happy to confuse him. This is Rei's first time entering the room as a boy. Juniors invited Ranko to eat but she refused. Ranko had planned in his mind to break Chihiro's neck for daring to leave her behind and run after Babu. Rei looked out the door to get some fresh air, she pointed at Babu. Chihiro was surprised that Babu's eyes were more reactive than yesterday. Seeing Chihiro like that made Rei think he liked her doing zombie-like things. Rei tried it, but Chihiro turned away. Rei is carefree because Chihiro has promised to take responsibility for everything. Rei smiled brightly, she wanted him to take her everywhere to experience life like a normal girl. Suddenly Rei approached Chihiro. They were about to kiss when Ranko stood below and shouted for Chihiro. Ranko wanted to go to his room, but Chihiro stopped him. He told Rei to stay where he was and ran to pick up Ranko. Rei was embarrassed that she didn't understand what she was going to do just now. Ranko led Chihiro to the riverbank to torture him. Yasu appears, he asks Chihiro to introduce himself to Rei. Ranko was surprised when Chihiro knew Rei. She had been suspicious ever since Chihiro asked. Chihiro suddenly remembered, his dream was to have a Zenbi girlfriend. Now that Rei was here, it was a wish to see. Rei sat waiting for Chihiro to return, wondering who the girl who called Chihiro was. Rei remembered that there was no one in Chihiro's house, so she ran down to take a shower. She did not feel hot or cold. Still, Rei was happy because it was her first time bathing in such a small place. Grandpa Chihiro entered, he mistook Rei for his ex-wife. Rei was so scared that she pushed him away and ran away. It wasn't until later that Chihiro settled the matter. Maro invites him to dinner, which Chihiro is not interested in. As soon as Chihiro entered the room, she saw Rei naked. He turned away and remembered that he was talking to zombies like a dream. Chihiro excitedly approached Rei to ask questions, but he still reminded her to get dressed. Rei was still smiling, she couldn't move on her own anymore. Chihiro looked at him strangely. When he touched it, Rei's body stiffened. Chihiro remembered that this was a frozen self-exam. Even if Rei was sober, now that she was dead, within a month her flesh would have rotted away leaving only her bones. Chihiro will preserve Rei's body. Episode 5. Chihiro puts Rei on the bed and goes to the church to sleep. Chihiro must quickly preserve Rei's body or her flesh will rot. The next morning Chihiro asked Maro about the book on mummification. As far as Chihiro knew, Formar was the simplest method, but very smelly. He had to make sure his family and neighbors didn't notice. It wasn't good to leave Rei like this. Chihiro took out the things from the closet and tried to put her in. Chihiro picked up Rei, he tripped and blushed as Rei's whole body pressed against him. Still urging his father, Chihiro quickly put Rei in the cupboard. Suddenly there was a strange sound. Chihiro was surprised when Rei was still hungry. Wait until her body is stiff, he will bring food. Chihiro went down to have breakfast with her family. Chihiro remembered Rei's smile, he turned to ask Maro what was normal and then stopped. Ranko just got out of the house and met his juniors. Rei hasn't been to school lately, making her very worried. Ranko didn't care and left. The little girl followed the radiant and beautiful Rei but still saw her sad expressions. It's fine if Rei is just a normal student, but there's no one in the school who doesn't know Rei. She brought a photo with Rei to show off, she was worried if something happened to Rei. Ranko leaves. Today is a day off, so Chihiro's family gathers to clean the house. Chihiro feels uncomfortable now is not the time to do this. Chihiro's father reminded him, he heard that Chihiro brought back another cat right after Babu died. Chihiro was sure it was Babu who had come back to life. Grandpa also joined Chihiro, claiming that Babu's resurrection was due to his resurrection potion. Chihiro was startled to ask him, he did not remember what he just said and went to take a bath. Chihiro wanted to run after him, but his father kept him and did the rest of the work. Chihiro thought as he did, if his uncle had made a resurrection potion, he must have known how to preserve corpses. Maro's arrival startled Chihiro. She is sure that Chihiro's room is very dirty, so after this is done, she will come up to clean his room. Chihiro hurriedly kept it so he could do it himself. Ranko brings food to Maro. Ranko is so kind that her father is very embarrassed, only she can cure Chihiro. He thought that it would be a blessing if Chihiro got Ranko, and after hearing that, Ranko patted Chihiro's head. Ranko tells Chihiro about Rei. Seeing Chihiro's interest, she knows he's his ideal type. Ranko left first, but she suddenly returned to look for zombie movies. Ranko goes up to Chihiro's room to look for zombie movies. Chihiro thought that Rei was feeling hungry just now. Obviously her stomach was already broken. Ranko couldn't choose a movie. She spotted a long black hair nearby, definitely not Chihiro's. Ranko's spine went cold. She opened the door and saw no one. Rei was already behind her. Rei pinned Ranko down. Ranko was very scared. Blood poured from Rei's stomach. Ranko wanted to take her to the hospital, but Rei didn't show any emotion. Ranko immediately remembered the zombies in the movie. Rei took off Ranko's shirt. Ranko shouted. Hearing Chihiro running up, Rei was licking Ranko's chest. Chihiro quickly pulled Rei away. As soon as she saw Rei, she called his name and rushed in to kiss Chihiro. Chihiro was so shocked he wanted to separate Rei, but she hugged her too tightly. Episode 6, Rei became a zombie. Ranko believes that Chihiro killed Rei to satisfy his passion and turned her into a zombie. Rei crept out the window to follow Babu. When Chihiro noticed that he was chasing him, he asked Ranko to come down and call him to help him. Chihiro had just climbed out to meet his father, who wondered what Chihiro was doing. Chihiro quickly dodged. Chihiro ran out to see Miss Rei chewing hydrangea leaves. Rei's eye color was back to normal. Chihiro realizes that this leaf is the poison ingredient in the medicine. If eaten, it can prolong time. Ranko brought out his grandfather, who was now more lucid, and gave Chihiro an explanation. It is true that this drug was invented by him. The medicine Chihiro made was incomplete. It could only prolong the decay time of corpses. He was about to say something important when Ranko hurled the vial at his head. Dad and Mero didn't understand what they were doing either. He mumbled again, Mero leading him inside. Chihiro hadn't heard it yet, but at least he was able to get some information. Now he had to figure out how to preserve Rei's body. His father wondered about Rei. Chihiro was discovered, so he didn't hide it anymore. He asked his father's permission to let Rei stay. His father was a bit taken aback, rarely seeing Chihiro being serious other than talking about zombies. This temple had previously hosted refugees, so he agreed to let Rei stay. Looking at Rei like that, Ranko was a bit sad. She grabbed Chihiro's neck teasingly. Ranko remembers that she still has to deliver, so she grabs Chihiro's shirt and runs away. From that night, Chihiro decided to keep a diary, as he said. Rei felt a little embarrassed being alone in Chihiro's room. She invites Chihiro to stay with him. He doesn't feel well. Just thinking about them kissing is embarrassing. Startled, Rei asked Chihiro, who didn't seem to remember anything. Mero heard it all. She was happy that her brother was enjoying his youth. Chihiro even went back to the movie to monitor Rei's body, all normal. Rei was very shy. Chihiro announced that he would shoot every day from now on. Chihiro went downstairs to eat. His father did not see Chihiro call Rei down. Chihiro explained that Rei did not want to burden the family. Mero cooked the whole part for Rei. She wanted Chihiro to relay the words. The whole family would be very happy if she would come down to eat with her. Rei has lost her taste buds, now she can pretend to eat. Ranko brought Chihiro's clothes. Chihiro can only explain that Rei is not her girlfriend. Ranko leaves. Chihiro brought up her clothes and saw Babu and Rei sitting together. Looking at them like that, they weren't living beings anymore. Chihiro and Rei went out for a walk. In the eyes of the viewer, Rei is still normal. No one knows she is a zombie. Rei had lost the ability to excrete. Now she really felt that she was dead. But she was still happy to be with Chihiro. Chihiro promises to take responsibility for Rei from now on. On the way back, Chihiro was still thinking about how to preserve Rei's body. He didn't notice the car approaching, and Rei jerked Chihiro back. She was too strong to throw Chihiro away. Chihiro was injured. Rei rushed to apologize. Seeing him bleeding, Rei licked Chihiro's wound to prevent infection.